Picture standing in a cozy room on a frosty December evening. The smell of pine fills the air as soft golden lights twinkle on a tree dressed in ornaments. There's a fire crackling in the fireplace, a mug of something warm in your hands, and faint laughter echoing from the next room. It feels timeless, like a moment that could have happened 100 years ago or just last night. But have you ever stopped to wonder how this all started? Why do we hang stockings by the fireplace or gather around a table for a feast? Where did the idea of giving gifts come from? And what's the story behind that jolly guy in red? The truth is, Christmas hasn't always looked like this. In fact, for most of its history, it's been something entirely different. The story of Christmas is a fascinating journey through time, one that starts with quiet religious observances and winds its way through centuries of culture, tradition, and transformation. From ancient pagan festivals to solemn church services, from Dickensian family gatherings to the glittering commercialized holiday we know today, Christmas has been shaped by the people, places, and stories it's touched. So grab that mug and settle in. Let's take a journey through the history of Christmas, a story that's as much about us as it is about the holiday itself. Before Christmas became the dazzling celebration we know today, it didn't even exist. Early Christians weren't exactly planning birthday parties for Jesus. Birthdays weren't a big deal in the ancient world, let alone something considered sacred. Their focus was squarely on Easter, the ultimate cornerstone of their faith, celebrating Jesus' death and resurrection. But over time, the idea of marking his birth began to take shape. By the 4th century, Christian leaders decided it was time to commemorate Jesus' arrival into the world. The celebration of Christmas started in Rome around 336 AD, but it did not become a major Christian festival until the 9th century. Now you might think they'd pick a date based on historical evidence, right? Not quite. The Bible is silent on when Jesus was born, and early Christians weren't keeping calendars for such things. So December 25th became the official date, but not because anyone found ancient records pointing to a snowy night in Bethlehem. It was a symbolic choice. Most scholars actually can't agree on the actual month he was born in, but typically say it fell within the spring to autumn months. One thing's for sure though, they all agree it wasn't December 25th. So why December 25th? It wasn't just any random day, it was loaded with cultural significance. In the Roman world, it fell near the winter solstice, a time when people celebrated the gradual return of sunlight after the darkest days of the year. For Christians, this lined up nicely with their belief in Jesus as the light of the world. It was a perfect metaphor. Plus, it didn't hurt that the date overlapped with popular Roman festivals like Saturnalia, a week-long party filled with feasting, gift-giving, and general chaos. Adopting this date allowed Christianity to slip its new holiday into an already festive time of year. But this wasn't just about convenience. For the early church, connecting Christmas to the solstice and existing traditions was a way of saying, "Look, the hope and renewal you're already celebrating, that's what Jesus brings." It wasn't about blending in, it was about redefining. And so December 25th marked the start of something new, a celebration not of seasons or the sun, but of a birth that Christians believed changed the course of history. Once December 25th was set as the date, Christmas started to find its footing as a Christian holiday. But it wasn't an overnight transformation. Early Christmas celebrations were understated, more about quiet reflection than joyful festivities. It was a time for Christians to focus on what they believed to be the miraculous birth of Jesus, a moment that brought hope into a broken world. This wasn't just about celebrating a baby being born. The nativity story, as told in the Gospels, is loaded with meaning. For Christians, it's not just a historical event, it's a deeply spiritual one. The imagery is powerful. A child born in humble surroundings, announced by angels, visited by shepherds, and marked as the savior of humanity. These themes of humility, hope, and divine intervention became the heart of early Christmas observances. But the holiday wouldn't have gained much traction without some significant help from history. By the 4th century, Christianity was no longer just a small, persecuted faith. It was becoming a dominant force in the Roman Empire. This shift was largely thanks to Emperor Constantine, whose conversion to Christianity and support for the church changed everything. Suddenly, Christian holidays weren't just religious, they were political and cultural milestones. When Constantine declared Christianity the official religion of the empire, it gave holidays like Christmas a much-needed boost. December 25th became a day for the entire Christian community to gather, celebrate, and reflect. And while these early celebrations were still mostly religious, they started to gain a public presence. The term Christmas itself comes from the Old English Christes Mass, meaning Christ's Mass. This wasn't just a day for feasting or resting. It was anchored in a special church service where believers would gather to hear readings about Jesus' birth, sing hymns, and offer prayers. The spiritual focus of Christmas was clear. This was about honoring the arrival of Christ, the Messiah. What's fascinating is that while Christmas was growing in significance, it wasn't yet the grand holiday we think of today. It was one part of a much larger Christian calendar, often overshadowed by Easter. But its role was solidified by the Church's efforts to distinguish it from surrounding pagan festivals. By framing Christmas as a holy day with deep theological roots, early Christians laid the groundwork for a celebration that wasn't just about the season, it was about the story. But as this sacred day grew in popularity, it started to mingle with the local traditions of the regions it spread to, setting the stage for a transformation that would take Christmas in unexpected directions. Christmas, as we know it today, owes much of its charm and traditions to ancient pagan celebrations, particularly those that marked the winter solstice. The winter solstice held much significance in ancient cultures, for many different reasons. It marked the shortest day and the longest night of the year, but also marked the beginning of the sun's gradual return to strength, with the days slowly getting a little longer until the eventual summer solstice. These festivals were deeply symbolic, celebrating light's return after the darkest days of the year and the resilience of life through the coldest months. While Christianity gave Christmas its central religious focus, many of the customs that make the holiday feel so magical trace back to older, pre-Christian practices. Take Saturnalia, for example. This Roman festival honoring Saturn was nothing short of a week-long rager. From December 17th to 23rd, it was all about feasting, exchanging gifts, and turning the social order on its head. Slaves dined as masters, businesses shut down, and the streets were alive with revelry. While Christmas didn't inherit Saturnalia's wilder antics, the traditions of gift-giving and communal feasts definitely stuck around. We'll cover Saturnalia in more depth in the next video. Moving north, we encounter Yule, a Norse and Germanic festival that revolved around the solstice. Yule was a time of fire, feasting, and family, marking the darkest days of the year with hope for brighter times ahead. Central to the celebration was the Yule log, a massive piece of wood burned in the hearth. Families believed its flames would banish the darkness and bring good luck for the year to come. This tradition inspired the modern Yule log desserts and even echoes in the cozy firelit settings we associate with Christmas. Another key feature of Yule was the use of evergreens. Holly, ivy, fir, and mistletoe were revered as symbols of life's persistence in the face of winter's harshness. These plants were thought to have protective and magical qualities, warding off evil spirits and inviting blessings into homes. Bringing greenery indoors became a way to celebrate life and nature's endurance, a tradition that seamlessly transitioned into Christmas decor. Mistletoe in particular carried powerful symbolism. Among the Druids, it was considered sacred, a plant with healing properties and a bridge between the heavens and earth. Kissing under the mistletoe may seem like a playful modern tradition, but its roots lie in ancient beliefs about fertility and goodwill. When Christianity adopted the use of mistletoe, its meaning shifted slightly, but its charm remained. Over in Rome, we find Sol Invictus, or the Festival of the Unconquered Sun. Celebrated on December 25th, this festival honored the sun's rebirth after the solstice. The parallels between this and Christmas are striking. Both celebrate light, breaking through darkness and new hope emerging in the world. As Christianity spread, this existing celebration helped reinforce the symbolic connection between Jesus, the light of the world, and the returning sun. Germanic traditions also contributed heavily to the Christmas aesthetic. The Christmas tree, for example, likely evolved from pagan practices of decorating trees during Yule. Evergreen trees, with their resilience and beauty in winter, became a natural symbol of life and hope. Pagan communities often adorned trees with fruits, candles, and other tokens to honor their gods. By the 16th century, Christians had reimagined this tradition, adding religious ornaments and bringing the decorated trees indoors. Finally, let's touch on feasting. Nearly every pagan solstice festival involved communal meals, often featuring rich, hearty dishes meant to sustain people through the coldest months. These feasts weren't just about indulgence, they were acts of survival, unity, and gratitude. The Christmas feast, with its roast meats, sweet desserts, and abundance of shared food, owes much to these early practices. These pagan influences didn't just sneak into Christmas, they were deliberately integrated as Christianity spread across Europe. The Church, recognizing the power of these beloved traditions, found ways to give them new meanings within a Christian framework. In doing so, they ensured that Christmas would feel familiar and meaningful to the people they were trying to convert. Many pagan pre-Christian practices left their mark on midwinter celebrations. The Slavic kolyada brought caroling and communal feasts. The Persians and Romans brought their famous citywide festivals, and even in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, solstice festivals celebrated light's triumph over darkness. There's no shortage of examples, but you get the point. Christmas is a mosaic of traditions, blending sacred and seasonal, old and new, into the holiday we know today. Hey everyone, just a quick intermission here. I wanted to say thank you for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Did you know that over 80% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed to the channel? If you've enjoyed this content so far, it would be incredible if you could hit that subscribe button. It's a small gesture, but it really helps the channel grow and ensures that you won't miss any more of our fascinating stories we explore together. Also, if you're feeling generous, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share with anyone else who may enjoy it. Your support really does make a difference and keeps the content coming. Thanks again, and let's get back to the story. Christmas has never been static. It's a holiday that's grown and adapted over centuries, reflecting the cultures, politics, and priorities of the times. Let's dive into how Christmas has changed through different periods in history, from its earliest days to the traditions that shaped the modern holiday. Early medieval Christmas, 4th to 9th centuries. Once Christmas was established as a religious holiday in the 4th century, it became part of the broader Christian liturgical calendar. As we mentioned before, during this time period it was primarily a solemn occasion, focused on church services and quiet reflection. Feasting and social gatherings were common but modest, often tied to local agricultural cycles. As Christianity spread through Europe, Christmas began absorbing regional customs. In England, for instance, pre-Christian midwinter traditions like feasting and burning Yule logs were gradually Christianized. However, the religious aspects remained dominant, with masses and readings from the Gospels forming the heart of the celebrations. High medieval Christmas, 10th to 15th centuries. By the Middle Ages, Christmas had become a significant event on the European calendar. The celebrations grew more elaborate, blending sacred and secular elements. Churches hosted grand nativity plays, reenacting the story of Jesus' birth, while towns and villages came alive with music, dancing, and public feasts. This period also saw the rise of unique traditions like the Feast of Fools and the Lord of Misrule, where normal societal roles were overturned. These customs, which involved humor and role reversals, added a playful element to the season. However, they occasionally went too far, drawing criticism from religious leaders who worried Christmas was becoming too rowdy. Caroling became popular during this time as well, though it wasn't the polished choir performance we think of today. Medieval carolers sang lively, often humorous songs while traveling from house to house, sometimes receiving food or drink in return. The Reformation and Christmas suppression, 16th to 17th centuries. The Protestant Reformation of the 16th century brought significant changes to Christmas. Reformers like Martin Luther, not to be confused with Martin Luther King Jr., viewed the holiday with mixed feelings. While Luther himself encouraged Christmas traditions like the use of a decorated tree, many Protestant leaders saw the holiday's excesses as a distraction from true Christian worship. In England, the Puritans took this skepticism to new heights. Viewing Christmas as too pagan and indulgent, they banned public celebrations entirely during the mid-17th century. Under Oliver Cromwell's rule, Christmas festivities were outlawed, and businesses were ordered to remain open on December 25th. The same attitude carried over to Puritan colonies in America, where celebrating Christmas was also frowned upon. Despite the bans, people quietly continued their traditions at home, keeping the spirit of Christmas alive even in the face of legal restrictions. The Georgian and Victorian Revival, 18th to 19th centuries. By the 18th century, the Christmas bans were a thing of the past, but the holiday had yet to regain its prominence. It wasn't until the 19th century that Christmas underwent a cultural revival, thanks in large part to the Victorian era's emphasis on family, morality, and tradition. One of the most influential figures of this revival was Charles Dickens. His novella, A Christmas Carol, redefined Christmas as a time for charity, family, and self-reflection. Dickens's portrayal of a redeemed Scrooge touched hearts across England and beyond, embedding themes of goodwill and generosity into the fabric of Christmas. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert also played a key role in popularizing Christmas. Albert, of German descent, introduced the tradition of decorating a Christmas tree to the British royal family, a custom that quickly caught on across the country. Christmas cards, first mass-produced in the 1840s, added a personal touch to the season, allowing people to connect with loved ones even from afar. Caroling became more formalized during this period, shifting from rowdy street songs to organized performances of hymns and traditional carols like Silent Night and O Holy Night. The Industrial Revolution and Modern Christmas, 19th to 20th centuries. The Industrial Revolution transformed Christmas into a commercial juggernaut. Advances in manufacturing made it easier to produce toys, ornaments, and holiday decorations on a large scale, while new transportation methods allowed goods to be distributed widely. For the first time, Christmas shopping became a major part of the season, with gifts for children taking center stage. Santa Claus also emerged as a key figure during this time, thanks to influences from Dutch folklore, Clement Clarke Moore's A Visit from St. Nicholas, and artists like Thomas Nast, who illustrated the jolly red-suited Santa we recognize today. By the early 20th century, Christmas was firmly established as both a religious and secular holiday. It was a time for church services and family gatherings, but also for parties, parades, and the growing tradition of decorating homes with electric lights, a novelty made possible by the invention of the light bulb. World War I and II, Christmas amid conflict, 1914 to 1950s. Christmas during wartime carried a unique poignancy, reminding people of peace and humanity in the face of unimaginable hardship. One of the most extraordinary examples came during World War I in 1914 on the battlefields of the Western Front. On Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, opposing German and Allied soldiers participated in what's now known as the Christmas Truce. The fighting paused as soldiers emerged from their trenches to exchange greetings, sing carols, and even play football, or soccer in North America, in the no-man's land between their lines. They shared small gifts, cigarettes, food, and trinkets, and for a brief moment, the spirit of Christmas overcame the horrors of war. While the truce was unofficial and not universally observed, it stands as a powerful reminder of Christmas's ability to inspire goodwill, even in the darkest circumstances. During World War II, Christmas carried a different kind of significance. With resources stretched thin and rationing in place, families had to get creative with their celebrations. Handmade gifts and simple meals replaced the extravagance of pre-war holidays. For soldiers on the front lines, Christmas was a bittersweet occasion, marked by letters from home, shared rations, and makeshift decorations like paper ornaments or improvised trees. In some cases, Christmas served as a brief respite from the chaos of war. Allied soldiers in 1944 famously sang carols on the front lines during the Battle of the Bulge, finding moments of connection amidst the conflict. Back home, communities rallied together to spread cheer despite the hardships, emphasizing togetherness over material goods. After the war, the 1950s ushered in an era of renewed abundance and optimism. Families embraced modern Christmas traditions, decorating their homes with colorful electric lights, flocked trees, and store-bought ornaments. Popular Christmas songs like Bing Crosby's White Christmas and the emergence of televised holiday specials reinforced the nostalgic, family-focused image of the season. From its solemn beginnings as a holy day to its vibrant reinvention as a global celebration, Christmas has constantly evolved. Each era has left its mark, adding new layers of meaning and tradition to the holiday. Whether through quiet worship, joyful feasts, or sparkling lights, Christmas continues to adapt, reflecting the world around it while staying true to its core message of hope, generosity, and connection. Christmas began to shed some of its old-world formality and take on a new role, a holiday of wonder, nostalgia, and increasingly, consumerism. What had once been a modest celebration of Jesus' birth, wrapped in layers of cultural traditions, was now evolving into a global phenomenon with a secular shine. A major player in this transformation was Santa Claus, the jolly, gift-giving figure who became Christmas's unofficial mascot. His origins are a fascinating blend of history and myth. Saint Nicholas, a 4th-century bishop known for his generosity, inspired much of the legend. Over time, this saintly figure merged with elements of Dutch folklore, particularly Sinterklaas, and later adapted into the American version of Santa Claus. As previously mentioned, the modern image of Santa, a plump, bearded man in a red suit, was popularized in the 19th century through the work of artists like Thomas Nast and authors like Clement Clarke Moore, who penned A Visit from St. Nicholas, better known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. But it was the 20th century that cemented Santa's iconic look, thanks in part to Coca-Cola advertisements in the 1930s. These ads brought a cheerful, approachable Santa into homes across the world, tying his image to the joy of giving and a little bit of marketing genius. Meanwhile, gift-giving, which had already been part of Christmas for centuries, exploded into a central feature of the holiday. What started as modest tokens exchanged during Saturnalia or in honor of St. Nicholas became, by the mid-20th century, a full-blown industry. The rise of department stores, catalogs, and later online shopping turned December into the peak season for spending, with companies banking on Christmas to make or break their year. This commercial boom wasn't entirely cynical, though. Advertisements and holiday promotions tapped into themes of generosity, family, and magic, reinforcing the emotional pull of Christmas. Movies and music also played a huge role in shaping the holiday. Classics like It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas created a nostalgic, idealized vision of the season, while songs like Jingle Bells and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer became staples of Christmas culture. One of the more interesting shifts during this period was the way Christmas began to transcend religion. While it remained a deeply sacred holiday for Christians, its broader appeal as a celebration of love, kindness, and togetherness drew in people from all walks of life. Secular traditions like decorating trees, exchanging gifts, and hosting festive gatherings became just as important as attending church services for many. This version of Christmas, the one filled with Santa Claus, shiny wrapping paper, and holiday jingles, spread quickly across the globe. Of course, not everyone welcomed the commercialization of Christmas. Critics lamented that the holiday was losing its spiritual focus, becoming more about shopping lists, and less about its original meaning. This tension continues today, with debates about whether Christmas has become too commercialized or if its evolving nature is just part of its charm. Regardless of where you land on that debate, there's no denying that the secular and commercial layers of Christmas have made it a truly universal celebration. It's no longer confined to one faith or one tradition. It's a holiday that's been reimagined countless times, shaped by history, culture, and a touch of marketing magic. Today, Christmas is a global phenomenon that's as diverse as the cultures that celebrate it. It's no longer just a Christian holiday or even a Western tradition. It's a season that has been adopted, adapted, and reimagined in countless ways across the world. From solemn midnight masses to extravagant light displays, from intimate family dinners to lavish parties, Christmas now means something different to everyone who celebrates it. For many, Christmas still holds deep religious significance. Churches around the world host services on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, telling the story of Jesus' birth through scripture, hymns, and nativity scenes. It's a time for reflection, prayer, and reconnecting with the spiritual roots of the holiday. In places like Vatican City, Christmas Mass is a major event, broadcast to millions of viewers, reminding believers of the sacred origins of the season. But outside of church walls, the celebration takes on a whole new life. The secular side of Christmas has grown into a dazzling display of creativity and tradition. Think of the elaborate decorations, Christmas trees glittering with ornaments, homes outlined in glowing lights, and town squares filled with oversized nutcrackers and holiday markets. Cities like New York and London transform into winter wonderlands, drawing tourists and locals alike into the festive spirit. Gift-giving remains at the heart of modern Christmas, though the way we shop has evolved dramatically. Once dominated by bustling department stores, the Christmas rush now includes online shopping sprees, with Black Friday and Cyber Monday kicking off the season. Yet amidst the commercial frenzy, many people see gift-giving as a way to express love and appreciation, keeping alive the spirit of generosity that has always been part of the holiday. Then there's the food. Every culture has its own take on Christmas feasting, from roasted turkeys and sugar cookies in North America to tamales in Mexico, seafood in Italy, and spiced rice cakes in the Philippines. These meals are more than just indulgent. They're a chance for families and friends to gather, share stories, and create memories. Christmas has also become a cultural bridge, celebrated in countries where Christianity isn't the dominant religion. In Japan, Christmas Eve is treated almost like Valentine's Day, with couples enjoying romantic dinners and exchanging gifts, complete with Christmas cake and Kentucky Fried Chicken. In India, vibrant decorations and unique dishes blend local traditions with global influences. The holiday's themes of love, kindness, and joy resonate universally, making it accessible even to those who don't observe its religious aspects. And let's not forget the impact of pop culture. Christmas movies, from classics like Home Alone to animated hits like The Grinch, are as much a part of the season as stockings and candy canes. Holiday music, from Bing Crosby's crooning to Mariah Carey's iconic All I Want for Christmas Is You, fills the airwaves, creating a nostalgic soundtrack that defines December. Sure, it's commercialized, and yes, it's a bit over the top at times, but that doesn't seem to bother most people. And here we are, at the end of a story that spanned centuries, continents, and cultures. Christmas, in all its forms, has proven to be so much more than just a holiday. It's a reflection of humanity itself, a blend of our faith, traditions, creativity, and yes, even our contradictions. From its humble beginnings as a quiet religious observance to its evolution into a global celebration of light, hope, and togetherness, Christmas has grown and adapted with us. It carries the echoes of ancient solstice festivals, the warmth of medieval feasts, the generosity of Victorian values, and the modern sparkle of twinkling lights and holiday jingles. But at its heart, Christmas remains a season of connection. Whether you see it as a time to honor faith, embrace family, or simply pause and reflect on what truly matters, the holiday reminds us of the importance of giving, of our time, our kindness, and our love. So, whether you're singing carols in a candlelit church, unwrapping gifts by the tree, or enjoying a quiet moment watching the snow fall, remember this: Christmas isn't just about what we do, but why we do it. It's about hope in the darkest times, joy in the simplest things, and the belief that no matter where we are or who we're with, this time of year can bring us closer together. And that perhaps is what makes Christmas truly timeless. Happy holidays.